October 2024 marked a new low in the Israeli-Iranian conflict. The Israeli-Iranian conflict reached a fever pitch in October 2024. A massive barrage of missiles launched from Iranian territory rained down on Israel. This unprecedented attack marked a significant escalation in the ongoing hostilities between the two nations. The world watched with bated breath as the region teetered on the brink of a wider war. For decades, the relationship between Israel and Iran has been fraught with tension and mistrust. The 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran transformed the dynamics of the Middle East. It positioned Israel and Iran as ideological rivals, vying for regional dominance. The rivalry escalated over the years. The two countries engaged in a shadow war. There were covert operations, cyber attacks, and proxy conflicts. However, the October 2024 missile attacks represented a bold and dangerous escalation. The international community condemned the attacks. Many feared that this could ignite a conflagration with devastating consequences. The specter of war loomed large as the world anxiously awaited Israel's response. The missile attacks sent shockwaves through Israel. Sirens blared across the country. Citizens rushed to bomb shelters, a grim reminder of the ever-present threat they face. The attacks targeted strategic infrastructure. Military bases, airports, and population centers were in the crosshairs. The immediate impact was significant. The attacks disrupted daily life and sowed fear among the Israeli population. While Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepted many of the missiles, the sheer scale of the attack overwhelmed the system in some areas. Reports of casualties and damage emerged as the dust settled. The attacks claimed the lives of Israeli civilians. They injured many more. The images of destruction and the stories of loss fueled a sense of outrage and determination within Israel. The attacks served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of civilian populations in times of conflict. The international community expressed its condolences and condemned the attacks. They called for restraint from both sides. Israel, known for its policy of swift and decisive military responses, faced a complex dilemma. The international community urged restraint. However, the Israeli government felt compelled to respond forcefully to the Iranian aggression. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, Israel launched airstrikes against Iranian military targets. These targets included facilities linked to Iran's missile program and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. Israel emphasized that its response was targeted and aimed at degrading Iran's ability to launch further attacks. However, Israel stopped short of all-out war. The government carefully calibrated its response. They aimed to deter future attacks without triggering a wider regional conflict. This delicate balancing act underscored the high stakes involved and the potential for miscalculation. The world held its breath as Israel walked the tightrope between retaliation and restraint. The situation remained highly volatile. Any miscalculation could have ignited a firestorm in the Middle East. Section 4. The world reacts, international condemnation, and the role of the U.S. The international community reacted with a mixture of condemnation and concern. The United States, Israel's closest ally, expressed unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself. They condemned Iran's actions in the strongest possible terms. However, the U.S. also urged restraint. They sought to prevent a dangerous escalation of the conflict. The Biden administration engaged in diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation. They called for dialogue and a return to diplomacy. European powers joined the chorus of condemnation. They called on Iran to cease its attacks and engage in meaningful negotiations. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting. They debated a resolution condemning the violence. Russia and China, however, blocked the resolution. They argued that it did not address the underlying causes of the conflict. The divided response of the international community underscored the complexity of the Israeli-Iranian conflict. It highlighted the challenges of finding a peaceful resolution to a conflict deeply rooted in history, ideology, and geopolitics. Section 5. A region on edge. The shadow of conflict engulfs the Middle East. The escalating tensions between Israel and Iran cast a long shadow over the Middle East. The region braced itself for the possibility of a wider conflict. The ripple effects of the confrontation were felt far beyond the borders of Israel and Iran. Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militia in Lebanon, pledged their support for Iran. They threatened retaliation if Israel attacked Lebanon. This raised fears of a repeat of the 2006 Lebanon War. In Gaza, Hamas, another Iranian-backed group, expressed solidarity with Iran. They condemned Israel's actions. While Hamas did not directly engage in the conflict, their rhetoric heightened tensions. It raised concerns about a potential escalation on the Gaza border. The conflict also exacerbated existing tensions in Syria, where Iran maintains a significant military presence. The Syrian civil war, already a complex and multi-sided conflict, risked being further inflamed by the Israeli-Iranian confrontation.